Welcome back, my friends. Welcome back. Scotty the Trucker coming to you from Iowa 80, the world's largest truck stop. I've got a couple little things that I want to put out there before I do my oops video, which I did. I had an oops. We don't like to have oopses, but we do. But life moves on. First thing is I wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping on my last video. Not a big thing. I didn't get any kind of complaints or anything. Nobody would even notice, but it was just something that in replaying the last video, I realized not exactly accurate. I had said that the Morris TA was my favorite truck stop. It's my favorite truck stop to stop at because it's got my favorite restaurant. It's not, as a truck stop, it's a fine truck stop. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a good truck stop. But it's, aside from the fact that it has my favorite restaurant, it's a fairly normal TA. Big giant parking lot. It does have two restaurants. It's got the R place and it's got the steak and cheese place. But other than that, it's just, it's not my favorite truck stop. It's my favorite restaurant at a truck stop. So therefore, it's often my favorite place to stop, if that makes any sense. So I have to give it to, the world's largest chain. This one here in Iowa 80. I love the one at Kenley. Joplin's good too. I don't know where the others are, if there are others. I know that there's several. I don't know if I've been to them all or not. So got to kind of give it to those. These are pretty spectacular places. So anyway, clean that up. The second thing, I wanted to give the shout out that I mentioned at the end of my last video. When I was at the TA in Morris, I had mentioned that I bought the Rand whatever number behind it. It was the dash cam. Got it back and had realized, when I was setting it up, that the app that it runs off of is incompatible with my phone. I've got one of the new version flip phones from Verizon, and for whatever reason, the app in the App Store does not mix with my phone. So I had taken that back and I had switched it for the Cobra SC200 or whatever this is, which I'm going to give it another day or two, but I'm not super happy with that one either. It's a great dash cam. It does everything that you would want in a dash cam, except the one thing that I really want for me is that I want to be able to say record, and it records for however long I want it to record, and then I say stop, and it stops. This one does things you set the increments to 1, 2, or 3 minutes, and I don't like it being that choppy. So, but it does all kinds of cool stuff. It has motion detector, safety things, and it'll even detect police up ahead, things like that. All the stuff that I really don't even want. I just want to be able to take a nice video for whatever, 10, 15 minutes, maybe more, and download it to my phone. That's what I want it for. So I'm guessing, and this is probably just me not knowing the tech stuff, that I'd probably do better getting just a GoPro of some kind as opposed to a dash cam. I'm guessing dash cams are more this than what I'm looking for. So that's just my naivete, I guess. But anyway, I did switch it for this Cobra, and I was coming back to the truck, and I was climbing into the truck, and over my right shoulder I hear, hey, 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 and I turned around, and the truck next to me, the passenger window was down, and the woman in there was kind of yelling at me. She said, "Yeah, you're on YouTube, aren't you, honey?" I said, yeah, that's me. And she said, "Oh yeah, I watch your videos, yeah." And I said, "Well, let me come around and meet you." And so anyway, I came down and went around her truck and met Aisha. Aisha, if you're watching, it was really great to meet you the other day. We had a great conversation. She's a fairly new driver. I believe I think she said second or third month driving solo. She's not a prime driver. She's with a different company. But we talked a little bit about those first few months, which, as y'all know if you've been watching me, my first few months were a bit scary. Getting the backing dialed in and all that and everything else. I would think for most drivers and most that I've talked to, those first few months without that trainer safety net can be a little terrifying at times. And she didn't say that, but she was just saying, backing was still an issue, and just kind of the nerves and that kind of thing. So I gave her the little bit of advice that I can do is just stick with it. Everything does get easier day by day by day. So conversation. So Aisha, very nice to meet you. Thank you for shouting at me. I'm always glad to meet people that are getting something out of this stuff. So that was good. All right, on to my oops. You may recall, if you've been watching for a while, I don't even know when, many months ago, in first few months of my driving solo, I hit a pole, and I talked about it. It was inside a receiver. I had to do, it was basically a right U-turn with a small median of grass in the middle. And in that median was a pole with a fence. And I took it too sharp, and the trailer hit the pole. And I talked about that, and the point I made with that video was that, up until that time, that was kind of a churning anxiety. It was just, I was new, I was having close calls here and there in the backing, and I had just kind of resigned myself to it's gonna happen. It hasn't happened yet. I haven't hit anything, but just, with my level of expertise and everything that's going on around me, it's a matter of time. Something's going to happen. And lo and behold, it did. And my point with the video was that before it happened, it felt to me like it's going to be the end of the world if I hit something. And what I learned through it was that it's one of the best things about working for a big carrier is that you get tons of support. A few phone calls and the thing goes away. You do get a deductible, which is unfortunate, but deserved. Nobody scolds you. Nobody says shame on you. Nobody says practice and do better. It's just matter of fact. Let's get it fixed so we can get you rolling again. So that was my lesson there. And it's been many months since I've had any kind of incident. And now I've had another one, and I feel like I need to take my advice a little better than I did. What happened was I was at my receiver in Rochester, New York, and this place has some diagonal spots to dock, diagonal docking spots. And I had no problem backing. It was not a backing issue. I did my back's a little tight. It's an angle which I like them. I prefer them when they're straight. But anyway, I can do a diagonal park, and I did. The backing was not an issue. Backed right up to the dock. My mistake, and it's something that maybe I need to work on, is I tend to be a perfectionist when it comes to being center on the docking pads. Usually there's two little orange tape lines and everything, and it bugs me if I'm a little off. In some places it matters. You got to be right on. There's a metal thing that flips down over the back of your trailer so that the forklifts can go on, and sometimes they have a hook thing underneath, and if you're not exactly right, one or both of those don't work. So I've learned to try to be as accurate as possible, but it's mine. I'm not one that goes around saying that I have OCD. I definitely don't, but in that particular thing I do like to be center. And anyway, this time I was a couple inches off. Probably should have just left well enough alone, because there was the dock, and then forward from the dock are these yellow poles protecting, yellow pole on my driver's side, maybe, 6 or 8 feet forward from the dock on the side here. I'll leave a picture of what I was kind of looking at. And it's a yellow pole that's protecting the building. I was the spot that was right next to part of the building. So when I was parking, I saw it was tight with that pole, but I made sure, in trucking, if you haven't done this, it's fairly obvious, I guess, but you open the 2 back doors and you pin them back to the sides with a chain. And so the profile of the door sits out from the truck, maybe, roughly 8 inches or so. And anyway, I had backed in and avoided that pole. I saw it going on in. It was very tight. I had to, had a little bit to spare, but I got past the pole, no problem. My problem was when I pulled forward, I just wanted to scoot over a couple inches, and I thought I had it, but the door, the front of the door, the edge of the door, barely, but it hit that yellow pole. And I'm telling you, those hinges on those doors are not that strong. There was almost no resistance. It wasn't like I had a chance to stop and fix it. Boom, the door was off. All 4 hinges broke, door laying on the ground with the chain still kind of hooked to the door. So, oh man, my heart just sunk, you know, just, oh my God. Anyway, I ran outside, a few curse words did fly, you know, and I ran back to the door, you know, and I'm 3 or 4 feet now off of the dock, you know, so I immediately tried to lift this heavy door just enough so I could unhook the chain. It was still hooked to that. The door was completely off of the trailer, but the chain was still hooked, and that door is heavy. I was holding it up trying to stuff the, there was a chock right beside me, and I was trying to get that in, and finally I got the chain loose so that I could set the door aside, and I went ahead and backed in, and my delivery went without a problem, but I had this door issue. And anyway, in your head, when things like this happen, I don't know if it's just because if something similar in the real world outside of trucking, this is going to ruin your week, at least, you know. So I think you still have that in your head, thinking that what is this going to set me back, you know. And but I start going through the routine. It's 3 calls. You have to call road assist, you know, to figure out how to get the thing fixed, where to go, this kind of thing. You call claims, safety, not claims, safety. That's the whole insurance part of it. You take your pictures of everything and you send that in and talk to the person in safety. And of course, their dispatcher, you got to let them know that you've had this little setback. And again, 3 calls, nobody said a word negatively about this issue. Now, I'm sure if you're a trucker that is hitting all kinds of stuff over there, you're going to have a pretty rough conversation. But this being 2 in my first year, at least at that point, nobody said one thing to me about shame on you or anything like that. It was just, let's get this taken care of so we can get you back rolling. So anyway, road assist had me, first part was securing the door. That was really nerve-wracking. The guy had told me to lean it up against the bulkhead inside the trailer all the way to the back and secure it with load locks. Now I got the door in there, and unless I'm missing something, that isn't possible. The door itself is taller than the trailer is wide, so you're not going to lay it this way against the back. And then I put it up thinking maybe I can lean it up straight, you know, straight up and down. But obviously that's not going to work because, you know, the door is on the back of the trailer straight up and down, and it's bigger than the space inside, especially with the hooks on each end. So I called him back. I was like, am I missing something? It doesn't appear that that's a possibility that you can do that. And I said, I mean, the best I think I can do is lay it flat, but really secure it well with load locks. And the guy said, I don't know, that's what we tell people, is to lean it up against the bulkhead. So anyway, I don't know, but that's what I did. I took it all the way back to the back right corner. I laid it flat, and I put 2 up and down, you know, load locks or poles, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you know, that hold your load from falling over. I had 2 vertical load locks, and then I put one at the very bottom across horizontally so that it won't slide forward like that. So, and I pulled and tugged and did all kinds of stuff to make sure those were super tight, because boy, I mean, you're about to roll about an hour to this Petro with an open door and a huge door inside sliding. I was more worried about a load lock coming loose and coming out the back than I was the door itself. The door was really heavy. It could have slid if I was really driving erratically, but my real fear, and it could have been just as bad, but if one of those load locks came loose and went out the back, the hole in the back, that could cause a real problem for other drivers. So I was very nervous, even though I knew I had secured that baby pretty darn tight. I was nervous the whole way. But I got to Petro, and at first they told me wouldn't be able to take me today. They said that the guy that does the door hangings or whatever was not in. So they were looking, they had me for 7:30 the following morning. However, they called me that evening. I don't know if they got the guy in there or what, but they actually took me in that evening. And it took, I think, less than an hour. They had 3 guys working on it. They replaced all the hinges and then got a forklift and lifted the door up and attached it. It really was quick. So, and it's done, you know. So that's where I say I kind of need to follow my own advice. I need to remember that is, you know, say what you will about big carriers or whatever, you have tons of support. That's what I like about it, you know. I mentioned that, you know, I had a comment of someone saying, you know, why would you want to do work for a carrier and you're not in charge of all your operations of your business? I don't want to be, you know. I want support, help, assistance, you know, a network. I want all that stuff. I don't want to be in complete control of every tedious little thing in my business. Some people do, and that's fine. I don't. I like infrastructure underneath me, and that is definitely what you get. Say what you will about anything else about Prime, you get tons of support, you know, dispatchers and safety and claims and logs and payroll and all that. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff, you know. I'm a lease operator, I'm my own business, but all I really have to concentrate on is driving and making sure I get there on time. And that is what I want, you know. The money is there. Some of you don't believe it, and I don't give a crap. I don't feel it's my duty to convince anybody. You can believe me or not, so have at me. I don't care. I'm doing great. As far as money goes, this was a definitely good decision. I got a comment from somebody with a very sincere question about that, and I will respond to your comment, but I'm not ready. Very soon I'm doing my money video, so just hang tight a little bit. Yes is the answer. Yes, the money is there. If you're disciplined, you know, you gotta be a little disciplined out here. It's a business, you know. You gotta make sure, you know, you gotta watch your profit margins and make sure you're putting some money away for the rainy day, and your taxes. You do that, you're good. It's not even that difficult. You know, I had thought, you know, at best the line's going to be very tight, you know, to making a living out here. It's not. It's actually very good, but that's for an upcoming episode, and I'll try to get to it fairly soon. Anywho, I need to take my own advice, and I think I need to like petition Freightliner to put some kind of like actual wood paneling in here, because I'm often saying, you know, everything's going great, knock on wood, and there's nothing of wood in here. The best I got is a wooden back scratcher from south of the border. The south of the border, that's in South Carolina, not the actual border, but that's the best wood I got. And I need something to knock on, because things were going spectacular until this happened. You know, this video was going to be something called Life is Good. I was going to really pour on the positive, because life is good overall, you know, until this happens. And the thing I need to do better. I need to take the L better, I think, as they say. You know, I've been solo for basically a year. I'm almost there. And I've had 2 incidents like this. I hit myself one time. I did a too sharp of a turn in the receiver, and I crunched my back panel, you know, the little plastic panels, which was not a big deal. The panels were fine. They just reattached them. But so I guess you could say 3 things, but that one was a very minor thing. You know, and hitting this door just kind of demoralized me, and in my head, you know, it feels like I'm back to square one. It's like, God, I'm a year in and I'm still making this kind of mistake. You know, for one, it wasn't a backing mistake. This was, you know, I think it could happen to just about anybody, but in my head, I'm like, dang, I haven't moved an inch since my first month. Not true, you know. That's what I gotta realize. You know, in my year, I've hit 2 things, but I've done a million things correctly. I've never had a service failure. I've never been late. So I've done a million things correctly and good. But your brain, being human, will dwell and really mess you up on the 2 little things. I mean, the 2 mistakes that you make. You know, things like this. So I gotta keep it balanced in my head a little bit better. And I've moved on, and that's the beauty. You know, you make those 3 calls, you pay your money, and you never hear about it again. So I'm moving on. This load, I'm heading, like I said, I'm on Iowa 80. I just got to go west a couple hours to my 01. Normally, I was going to stay at a Casey's up the road that was like 50 miles from this, but it's hard to pass up the Iowa 80. I don't know. Normally, I definitely try to get very, very close. If I'm there the day before my pickup, I try to get as close as I can, and that was my original plan. But I was getting close to Iowa 80. I was feeling a little tired, and I'm like, yeah, come on. You don't get past here too often. So that's what I did. Had myself a little Taco Bell. Had a little bit of DQ last night. I was good this morning. I was going to go in and have the big buffet breakfast, but I was like, nah, you've done enough damage, Scott. So here we are. I got a little bit, I think I've got maybe 30 more minutes. I got to head on out to my 90, which is just up the road. All right, guys, hope everybody's doing well, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.